Good morning, everyone. Today, we're going to present the chapter 9, which is economic feasibility and product marketing. I'm introduce myself. I'm Rain S. Reliorasa from Group 3. The first topic in chapter 9 is business analysis. So, ano nga ba ang business analysis? Business analysis is the process of understanding what a business needs to achieve and identifying its goals, then analyzing data to create recommendations that help the business reach those goals. It focuses on finding areas where changes or improvements are needed to overcome challenge or performance gaps. So, business analysis, ina-analyze nila yung business na gagawin mo. For example, magproduce ka ng seaweed noodles or chips. So, magkano mo to ibebenta sa market, and yung business analysis i-help kanya kung magkikita ka ba dito or realistic ba yung business mo, or makikitain ka ba, or mag-trends ba yung business na uumpisahan mo. So, dito naman tayo sa types of business analysis. Number 1 is strategic analysis. So, ang purpose ng strategic analysis is focuses on long-term goals to align business strategies with market opportunities. Number 2, operational analysis. Examine the day-to-day process and looks for way to improve efficiency and productivity. So, yung operational analysis, ina-examine niya yung process ng business mo. And, naghahanap din siya ng ways para ma-improve yung business mo. Yung financial analysis is evaluate costs, profits, and financial risks to ensure economic feasibility and profitability. So, yung purpose ng financial analysis is i-evaluate niya yung cost mo, yung mga gastos mo sa business, tapos kung yung business mo ba is kikita or hindi. Yung market analysis naman is studies market trends, customer needs, and competitors to guide product development and marketing. So, yung market analysis is yung business analysis, ina-study niya yung market trends, kung ano ba yung trending ngayon. Kunyari, ano ang trending ngayon sa market, yung ano yung customer needs, kung ano yung mga gusto ng customers. Gusto ba nila yung ready to eat, frozen, or anong gusto nila. Tapos, yung sa market analysis, doon mo din kailangan mo ding i-analysis yung mga competitors mo. So, next is SWOT analysis. Identify a business trends, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for better decision making. So, sa SWOT analysis is, dito mo makikita kung saan yung strength ng business mo. Kung ano yung weakness na kailangan mong i-improve. Kung ano yung opportunities na kailangan mong i-grab. And kung ano yung mga threats na makakasalamuhan mo sa business na itatayo mo. Next is gap analysis. Compares current performance with desired goals to identify what needs to be improved. Sa may gap analysis naman is kino-compare na yung performance kung ano yung desired na gusto mo. Yan. Tapos sa risk analysis naman is detects potential risks in business or project and provide ways to minimize or prevent them. For example, yung business mo, business mo, seaweed chips. So, anong risk ng seaweed chips? Yung mga contamination, ganon. Yun yung risk analysis. Tapos, sa requirement MED analysis is defines and documents what a product or system needs to do, often used in system or product development. So, dito naman tayo sa key benefits of business analysis. So, number 1 is improve business performance, help identify strategies that boost profits and overall result. So business analysis improve or help us identify kung ano yung kailangang i-improve sa business na ipapatayo natin. Next is increase efficiency and productivity. Detects weak processes and makes operation faster and cost-effective. So, yun nga kanina sa type of business analysis is andun yung SWOT analysis. So, madidetect mo kung ano yung weak ng business mo. Sa support, better decision making naman, provides data-driven insight to make smart and proactive decision. Next is gives competitive advantage, help businesses understand the market, and creates stronger strategies to stay ahead of competitors. So, yung give competitive advantage is parang ito yung na-discuss kanina na market analysis. Kasi, pag magpapatayo ka ng business mo, kailangan mong i-analyze mo na yung market trends para pasok yung product mo sa market or sa trends or sa consumer needs. Next is business analysis skills. So, number 1 is problem solving skills. Syempre, dapat pag business analysis ka, kailangan mo magaling ka sa problem solving skills. Kasi, may mapagkakataon na may mga risks na hindi mo inaasahan sa pagpapatay ng business mo. Next is communication skills. Dapat alam mo din makipag-communications. Also, next is technical skills. Next is technical skills and project management skill. Dapat alam mo kung paano mo i-manage yung isang business. Kunyari, hindi pwede yung may problema lang tapos hindi man alam kung paano solusyonan. Dapat alam mong i-manage. Tapos industry specific knowledge. Yun nga, parang yung industry specific knowledge is yun na din yung market analysis. So 6 last is strategic and adaptive skills. So parang dito is dapat alam mong mag-adapt pag kunyaring may problema sa business na itatayo mo. Next is conclusion. So, business analysis plays a vital role in helping organizations understand their current situation, identify challenges, and create effective strategies for improvement. By analyzing data and processes, it supports smarter decision making, improves efficiency, and boosts overall business performance. It also gives companies a competitive edge by guiding them and developing better products, services, and marketing strategies. In short, business analysis is essential for achieving growth, sustainability, and long-term success in today's competitive market. So, in conclusion, business analysis is essential in the fisheries industry because it ensures that the product development and value addition are profitable and market ready and sustainable. It evaluates economic feasibility and before production and guides marketing strategies to match consumer demand. With the help of business analysis, research entrepreneurs can confidently create innovative value-added products like fish sausage, seaweed chips, seaweed snowdor, or smoked bangus that are not only profitable but also in the market. So, reference, and thank you for listening. So, the next topics is may I call on Victoria Gale to discuss the next topic.
Good day everyone, my name is Victoria Giliana and I'm going to discuss the economic feasibility and product marketing, the cost analysis. What is cost analysis? Cost analysis is a fundamental aspect of financial management that allows businesses to carefully evaluate the expenses associated with producing goods or delivering services. Dito sa cost analysis dito mo masusuri yung mga gastusin sa isang negosyo, from the production up to the delivering services. Cost analysis provides businesses with valuable insights into their spending pattern, allowing them to determine whether they are getting value for their money, identify potential cost saving alternatives, and optimize resource allocation. It gives them information about the patterns on how their money was spent, paano yung nagagastos yung pera nila, and it gives them idea whether their money is worth the risk or is there other way para mas makatipid sila. There are different categories of product development costs. We have the first is the direct cost. Ito yung mga kailangan para mabuo yung produkto na kakailangan yung paggastusan. Number one is the materials, raw inputs, components, or the physical material that is needed to create a particular product. It's important because this usually has the largest costing. Changes in price. Possible na magkaroon ng changes in price because sa supply chain, inflation, or shortage of supply. Next is the labor. Ito yung mga sahod ng mga tao na directly create, design, testing, and the assembly of the product. Next is the equipment, which has the machinery, tools, software, licenses. Ito yung mga considered also as capital expenditure. Yung mga binibili once lang para magamit. Kaya dapat wise yung paggamit sa mga equipment na to para na rin hindi siya maging display lang sa production site ninyo. Next is the indirect costs. We have the an indirect cost. It doesn't really directly connected to the product but is still needed to the run para gumana yung mag-operate yung paggawa ng product nyo. We have the overhead, which includes the utilities, rent, admin, salaries, or the costing that helps the daily operation in the office or processing plant utilities, such as electricity, water, internet, or even the yung paggana ng mga aircon, ganyan. We have the rent, the monthly rental in the building or any infrastructure. Salary, yung mga pasahod sa mga empleyado. Even though they are not seen in the product would not be tangible without it. Or kung wala sila, hindi magiging possible na magawa yung product na yun. Next is the marketing preparation. It's the preparation of the product launching. Ito yung sa branding, packaging design. Sa branding, we have the logo design, slogan, or trademark. Sa packaging design naman, we can, may mga plastic or box. Mga design ng mga ito is also have instruction manual. Importante ito dahil brand at packaging yung unang makikita ng mga consumers. Ito din yung magiging batayan nila if bibili sila or hindi. Regulatory compliance. Ito yung mga certification or legal reviews. Ito yung mga laws na sinusunod or yung standard na kailangan ma-meet na under sa government or sa industry. Sa certification, may mga ISO, FDA approval, or DTI registration. Sa legal reviews naman, dapat may presence ng isang legal authority, which is pwedeng abogado, na pwedeng mag-inspect ng mga contracts or safety compliance of the production. Importante na ma-meet mo tong lahat para maging successful yung pag-launch kasi if it is not approved, gaya ng mga hindi siya pwedeng i-sell sa market. Gaya ng mga drugs, kailangan FDA approved yung mga yun. The next is the hidden or variable cost. Hidden or ito yung mga gastos na nakatago at pwede rin pabago-bago. Madalas silang pabago-bago, hindi napapansin pero may epekto sa kita. Under dito ang opportunity cost, yung time spent on one product versus other. Yung nagpo-focus ka lang sa isang product, though pwede siyang maging sufficient para sa iba. For example, nag-focus ka sa isang product for 2 months. Pwede ka namang gumawa ng ibang product within the 2 months na mas may kikitain ka pa or mas malaki pa yung kita mo dapat dun sa ibang product na hindi kaysa yung isa na pinagtuunan mo ng pansin. And then we have the waste and rework, the failed prototypes, or the design revisions. Ito yung mga nagastos from the reject or failed production. Tsaka yung mga rework na biglang may pagbabago sa mga design ng mga mga engineers or yun yung mga nakakapagpadagdag sa direct cost. Kasi nga, binabayaran mo sila per hour or monthly, which is very costly din. Mataas din siya. Importanteng malaman ito para hindi po ulit yung gastos ninyo. Next is the supply chain volatility, the price fluctuations or delays, mga biglang pagbabago ng price or arrivals ng material, yung biglang pagtaas ng raw material, ito yung mga gastos na hindi mo maiiwasan at may malaking epekto rin sa budget at schedule ng magiging product mo. Cost estimation techniques. Ito yung process where we estimate the production cost. It is also important to avoid overcosting, to have the right decision making, and ensures to gain profit. We have the top-down estimation based on historical data or similar project. Ito yung ginagamit kapag gumagawa ka ng rush budget proposal. kung walang specific detail. Magbe-base ka na lang sa mga dating naging project mo or similar projects. Then, dun mo i-base yung magiging estimation mo. Whether magiging same sale ng price or mas mataas ng konti. And then, we have the bottom-up estimation, yung detailed breakdown of each task and resource. Time-consuming but highly accurate. Ito naman yung ginagamit mas detail, if is detailed task, tsaka need ng accurate budget. Sa ABC, which is the activity-based costing, assigns cost to activities based on actual resource usage, ideal for complex or multi-phase products. Ito yung very accurate. You can identify what task has the highest costing budget. Makikita mo dito kung ano yung pinagagastusan mo. We have the cost drivers and risk factors. These cost drivers are the main reason why the product cost increases and decreases from time to time. It incorporates risk factors which can slow down the production. Ang unang cost drivers natin is product complexity. Ito yung it defines the technicality difficulty. Then, tsaka yung quantity of the product. Next is the technology stack. It is the technology software or platform that is used in the product. Yung mga nagagamit na technologies or softwares para sa mga product mo. Number 2 is the team expertise. Ito yung kung gaano ka experience and then yung credibility of the worker na nasa team ninyo. Sa development timeline naman, ito yung time or duration before finishing a product. Geographic location, dito yung this is where the team or the supplier works. Yung lugar kung nasaan ang mga supplier tsaka team workers natin. Kasi risk factors, this is the risk factors. Ito yung mga biglaan naman na or mga biglaan at hindi inaasahang obstacles. Yung mga nagiging hadlang na nagkukos ng pagtaas ng gastos. Tapos, pagbagal ng proseso ng project at cause ng failure nito. We have the scope creep, having and adding new features or requirements, even the plan is already done. Yung pagdadagdag or pagdadagdag ng bagong feature or requirements dun sa original plan nyo. Regulatory changes, yun yung biglang pagbabago ng mga rules or law na hindi mo naman makokontrol. And then, supplier issues, pwedeng yung maging supplier issues nyo is yung pag-host ng supplier ninyo sa inyo or yung maling order na na-deliver or out of stocks, yung mga kailangan yung raw materials. Next is the market shifts. Kung ano yung uso, kunwari gumawa ka ng yung biglang pagbago ng mga bagay na uso. For example is gumawa ka ng product na uso then biglang may bago. Yun yung nagbibigay ng risk factor kasi gagastos ka ulit or pwedeng itigil mo yung production na yun then sumunod ka ulit sa uso. And then underestimated testing needs, yung estimation ng time, duration ng trabaho. Next is the popular cost analysis. ito yung mga effective tool na magbibigay ng accurate, tsaka fast and reliable source, reliable tools na tutulong sa'yo sa pag-perform ng cost analysis. Meron tayong 4 dito na most used tools, kasama yung purpose tsaka strength nila. We have the Microsoft Excel, pinakasikat na spreadsheet or the most popular used to create a customized cost models. We have the system application and product. Ito yung system, which is system siya din ng enterprise resource planning. Ginagamit siya ng mga big companies dahil mga big companies have different departments. We have the Arena Product Lifecycle Management. It is a software where it monitors the product design up until the disposal. It is most likely used by companies na nag-produce ng mga electronics and cars. Next is the Costometer. Purpose niya is manufacturing cost estimation. Strength is that industry specific. Ito yun naman yung best use sa mga manufacturing companies that needs to quote a price instantly. This is the practices which are proven and tested by companies to avoid high costing and to have an effective decision making. Ito yung mga best practices. Let's start with the start cost analysis early in the concept phase. Ito yung pwede kang mag-create ng rough cost estimation even though there is no detail yet. Pwede mong gamitin yung top-down estimation. Then, use hybrid estimation models. Ito yung paggamit ng both the top-down and the bottom-up estimation. Yung dalawang yun is magbibigay sa'yo ng analysis na mabilis tsaka accurate. Third is regularly update cost models with real-time data. Mag-set ka ng time or date to update the cost models to avoid any obstacles or anumang hadlang or sudden na mga pangyayari na pwedeng mangyari in the end. Number 4 is the include in contingency buffers. Ito yung pag-include ng mga reserve budget if sudden encounters yung obstacle during the process, ganyan, para hindi mo na kailangan mag-apply ng loan or hindi mo na kailangan itigil yung project na yun. Next is the align cost analysis with test marketing insight. Kailangan lagi kang mag-perform ng survey to know what consumers prefers to start estimating whether following what they like will be profitable, magiging profitable ba yan siya sa'yo or hindi. Then, and for the conclusion, cost analysis is essential for controlling expenses, guiding investment decision, and ensuring product viability by accurately estimating and managing development costs. Businesses can reduce risk, improve efficiency, and successful product launches. Thank you. And then for our next topic, I would like to call on Miss Ella May Parado to discuss the next slides.
The next report will be about total revenue. For the introduction, let's first define what is total revenue. Total revenue means the total money earned by a business or the total amount of money from sales. Ibig sabihin, ito lahat ang perang pumasok bago pa man ibawas ang mga nagastos. And ito yung kabuang kita mula sa benta ng product or services. As you can see here, the total revenue formula. Total revenue equals price multiplied by quantity sold. So, ibig sabihin, yung price multiplied by dami ng benta para makuha ang total na kita. So, here we have an example. 50 times 100 equals 5,000. So, the business earned 5,000 total revenue o kabuang kita na 5,000. So, let's move on for the importance of total revenue. First is sales performance. Total revenue shows sales performance of a business. Kung mataas yung total revenue, ibig sabihin maganda ang benta ng business. It measures growth. It helps measure business growth over time. So habang tumataas yung total revenue every year, ibig sabihin mas nag-grow yung business. Next is pricing strategy. Total revenue helps in setting the right price for products. Malalaman kung dapat taasan or babaan ang presyo para mas kumita. And baseline for profit. Total revenue is the starting point before expenses are deducted. Ito yung magiging basihan para malaman ang tubo o profit ng negosyo. Next is relationship between price and revenue. If price goes up, total revenue can increase or decrease. Depende sa reaction ng customers. Kung konti na lang yung bumibili dahil tumataas yung presyo, ibig sabihin bababa yung total revenue. So next is the graph illustration. As you can see, makikita dito yung total revenue and yung sa quantity sold. So as quantity sold increases, total revenue also rises. Pero kapag sumobra na, hindi na tumataas o bumababa pa yung kita. Ibig sabihin, may hangganan din yung sales ng growth. And for the conclusion, total revenue is the total income of a business. Mahalaga to para maintindihan yung sales, yung market demand, and yung tamang pricing. So for the next reporter, may I call on Miss Erica Maydal Prado.
Hello everyone, I am Erica Maydal Prado, and today I am going to discuss the cash flow process. So this presentation discusses how money flows in and out of a business and the factors that affect it. It explains how to manage cash properly for financial stability. For the introduction, let's define first what is cash flow. So cash flow refers to the movement of money into and out of a business. So the process of managing cash flow involves understanding how cash is generated, where it is spent, and how timing affects the availability of funds. So cash flow helps measure the availability of the cash and the ability to pay debts. Managing cash flow means alam mo kung paano na-earn or ginagastos yung pera, and of course kung kailan ito available. So let's now move on with the types of cash flow. So there are 3 types of cash flow, from operations, investments, and financing. This shows kung saan nanggagaling at saan ginagamit ng isang businessman ang pera. First is the operating cash flow. It is the cash from core business operations. For example, yung pagbenta ng fishery products at yung pagbayad sa mga workers or sa employees. Second is the investing cash flow. It is the cash from buying or selling assets like equipment or investments. So, for example, pagbili ng bagong freezer para sa business mo. And third is the financing cash flow. It is the cash from borrowing, issuing equity, or repaying debt. For example, paghiram ng pera sa bangko, then palalaguin mo to for your business. Let's now move on with the cash flow process. So, the cash flow process involves tracking income and expenses monthly, calculating total inflow or yung pagpasok ng pera, and outflow, yung paglabas naman ng pera, and determining the remaining balance at the end of each month. The cash flow process. So, firstly, work out the income and expenditure month by month when you think money will actually come and go. Next is add up the total income for each month, and then add up the total expenditure for each month. Then calculate net money in or out for the month is equal to total income minus total expenditure. And then starting at month 1, working through all months. And lastly, calculate balance at end of month is equal to balance at beginning of month plus net money in or minus the net. Next, here we have 12 key factors affecting cash flow process. First is the revenue generation. The volume of sales and timing of customer payments directly affects cash inflows. Businesses offering credit sales may see delayed cash inflows, impacting liquidity. So, nakaka-apekto yung sales volume and payment timing sa pasok ng pera. So, kung palaging umuutang yung customer mo, there's a possibility na madedelay yung pagpasok ng cash. Next is the accounts receivable management. Inefficient collections or extended credit terms lead to delayed inflows. High levels of receivable can tie up cash that could be used elsewhere. So, meaning kapag mabagal yung singilan o marami kang hindi pa nababayaran, nare-reduce yung cash availability, leading to delayed inflows. So, collecting payments on time keeps cash flows steady. Next is the accounts payable management. Delaying payments to suppliers can help retain cash temporarily, improving short-term cash flow. However, late payments may damage supplier relationships or incur penalties. For example, next week mo pababayaran yung supplier mo instead na today para makasave ka ng cash for your other important bills. Pero, reminder na hindi ka dapat palaging late na nagbabayad kasi pwedeng masira yung tiwala sa'yo ng supplier mo. Next is the inventory management. Excess inventory ties up cash in unsold goods, reducing liquidity. Low inventory can cause lost sales and customer dissatisfaction. So kapag sobra-sobra yung stock mo, naiipit o hindi nagflow ng maayos yung pera. Kung kulang naman, nawawalan ka ng sales or mawawalan ka ng sales. Next is the operating expenses. Rent, salaries, utilities, and maintenance create recurring cash outflows. Rising costs without corresponding revenue increases can strain cash flow. For example, isa kang fish vendor na nagbayad ng 5,000 pesos per month para sa stall mo sa palengke. Let's say na sakto lang yung kinikita mo per month para sa rent ng stall and then biglang nagtaas yung rent. And then iba pa yung babayaran mong ticket na 50 pesos per day. So isang factor din talaga yon kung bakit nagkakaroon ng cash outflow. Next is the capital expenditures. Large investments, for example, purchasing machinery or buildings, result in significant outflows. Although these assets generate value over time, they reduce immediate cash availability. Kung bibili ka ng new equipment kasi kailangan mo siya for your business, mapapagastos ka talaga, but then it really helps to grow your business in long term. Next is the loan repayments and interest. Servicing debt requires regular outflows, which reduce available operational cash. Refinancing or restructuring loans can sometimes ease cash flow pressure. For example, let's say na nagbabayad ka buwan-buwan ng 2,000 pesos ng utang mo sa bangko. Unfortunately, this reduces your cash, pero fortunately, naiwasan mo yung penalties. Next is the tax obligations. Businesses must account for income tax, sales tax, payroll tax, and etc. Late or unexpected tax payments can disrupt each planning. So, dapat nagsisave ka na ng funds for your taxes para maiwasan na magkaroon ng cash shortage just in case. Next is the seasonality of business. Many businesses have seasonal demand, leading to irregular cash flows. So, for examples, retailers may earn most income during holidays but still incur year-round expenses. So, of course, may panahon talaga na malakas o mahina ang kita. For example, mas mabenta yung tinda mong bangus ice cream sa summer pero pagsabit ng bare months, hindi na ganun kabenta kasi malamig yung panahon. And this leads to irregular cash flow. Next is the economic conditions. Inflation, interest rates, and customer confidence all influence cash flow. In downturns, customers may delay payments or reduce purchases, affecting cash inflow. So, isa rin talaga sa factor kung bakit nagkakaroon ng cash outflow is yung inflation. Of course, kapag tumataas ang presyo ng bilihin, bumababa ang kita. Next is the access to financing. A company's ability to raise funds such as loans, equity, and credit lines impacts how it manages cash shortages. Strong cash flow improves credit worthiness, creating a positive cycle of financing. So, kung yung business mo is maganda yung record niya, madali ka na lang na makakapag-loan or makakautang para palakihin or palaguin yung business mo. And lastly is the cash flow forecasting and budgeting. Regularly forecasting cash flow helps businesses predict shortfalls, manage growth, and plan investments. So, budgeting ensures funds are allocated effectively across departments. So, kung expected mo na masyashort ka sa budget next month, dapat nagsisave or nag-iipon ka na this month para maiwasan yung problema na pwedeng mangyari in the future. Sabi nga nila, prevention is better than cure. So, to conclude, even profitable businesses can fall due to poor cash flow management. Understanding the factors influencing cash flow allows businesses to maintain solvency, avoid overborrowing, make timely payments, and plan for growth and emergencies. And that ends my presentation. Thank you. May I now call on Ms. Ronelyn Estacio to continue and discuss the next topic, please?
Next topic is organizing market functions. Why organizing market functions matter? Because it ensures the smooth flow of the products from producers to consumers. It helps meet consumer needs and improve the quality of the product. It also supports better value addition and profit for producers. There are three types of organizing market functions. First is exchange functions. These are the activities that involve the transfer of ownership of goods from producers to consumers. This includes buying and selling. Buying is the choosing and purchasing products that customers need. Selling is the marketing and offering products to buyers. This function helps connect producers and consumers through trade. Second is physical functions. This deal with the handling and movement of goods to maintain quality and make products available when and where needed. These include transportation, storage and warehousing, and processing. Transportation is moving goods from one place to another. Storage or warehousing, this keeping goods safe and they are needed in the market. And last is processing. Processing is improving or changing the product. Example is fresh fish to dried fish. These functions add value by preserving product quality and reducing spoilage. And last is facilitating functions. It supports and improves the exchange and physical function. These include financing, risk-bearing, standardization and grading, and market information. Financing, providing funds or credit for production and marketing. Risk-bearing, managing uncertainties like price changes or product loss. Standardization and grading, ensuring product meet quality standards. And last is market information, sharing data on prices, demand, and competition. This function make the marketing process more efficient and reliable. Next is key organizing market functions. Key organizing market functions, these are the key, buying and selling, transportation and storage, financing and risk-bearing, standardization and grading, market information and communication. These are the benefits of organizing market functions. It increases product value and marketability. It ensures quality, safety, and availability. It also helps producers reach more customers. And last is improves customer satisfaction and trust. If your product is quality, safety, you can satisfy the customer and gain their trust. That's it. For the next reporter is Miss Jessica May Carmelo.
So hello everyone, I'll be discussing about the consumer. Consumers are the target market or end users. They can be individual buyers, restaurants, retail stores, or export markets. They are the final decision makers who determine whether a product will succeed or fail in the market. Sila yung mga individual or grupo ng mga tao na bumibili or gumagamit ng product natin in the market. And sila din yung final decision makers na nakakaalam kung yung product ba is magsasucceed or hindi. And the importance of understanding consumers. Knowing your consumers is the foundation of successful product development. It helps one, identify what products are in demand. Fresh, frozen, dried, or value-added seafood. So, sila yung makakaalam kung ano ba yung kulang and ano ba yung gusto in the market. And number 2, understand preferences. Different consumers has their own preferences. Kaya yung opinion nila is very important in market kasi malalaman mo kung ano ba yung mas gusto nilang taste, packaging, portion size, convenience, and the sustainability. Number 3, setting price limits. Their willingness to pay defines your pricing strategy. So kung alam mo mas gusto nila ng cheap, affordable, or yung mas mahal, is doon ka lang mag-pricing strategy. And number 4, guiding investment decisions. If consumers show interest, businesses are more confident to invest. So pag alam ng mga business owners na mas interesado yung consumer na ito sa product na to, is mas lalo pa silang mag-i-invest. Number 5, reducing risk. Knowing your target consumers minimizes the risk of product failure. So, pag alam mo na kung sino yung mga target consumer mo in market, hindi ka na masyadong mag-fail sa mga product mo. And the factors affecting consumer behavior. Consumers' choices are influenced by 1, quality and freshness, appearance, odor, and texture matter most. Siyempre, mas gusto pa rin ng mga consumer pag quality and fresh yung product. And number 2, price, affordability, and perceived value. Kung alam nila, this affect the consumer behavior. Kasi pag alam nilang mahal, pero medyo low quality, hindi nila bibilhin. Pero pag alam nilang mahal, pero high quality, willing silang magbayad. And number 3, health awareness, demand for safe, nutritious, and sustainable seafood. Para to sa mga taong health conscious, mas gusto pa rin nila ng nutritious and sustainable seafood. And 4, availability and convenience. Mas gusto nila dito yung ready to cook. and package para hindi na hassle para sa mga taong busy. And number 5, cultural preferences. Siyempre, yung iba mas prefer pa rin nila yung nakasanayan nila locally or traditionally. And number 6, brand trust. Dito naman, mas gusto pa rin ng mga consumer pag yung product mo is approved by BFAR or yung iba naman is the ISO. And the roles of consumer. Number 1, feedback providers. Consumer opinions help improve product design, packaging, and taste. Pag kasi alam mo yung feedback or yung opinion ng mga consumer, mas lalong nagro-grow yung product mo kasi nag-i-improve yung design, yung mga packaging, and yung taste. And number 2, market indicators. Consumer demand shows which product are worth investing in. Pag alam ng mga consumer kung ano yung gusto nila and sinasabi nila yun sa mga business owner is mas lalo kang mag-i-invest yung mga businesses doon sa product na yun. And the drivers of innovation, trends like healthy eating or sustainability push producers to create new fish-based products like fish burgers, seaweed snacks. Sila yung magsasabi kung ano ba yung trend ngayon. And para mag-create yung mga tao like doon sa mga fish burgers and seaweed snacks. And the consumer feedback helps improve one, product formulation, like the taste, smell, and the texture. Number 2, packaging design, like size, materials, and the color. And number 3, marketing strategies, promotion, channels, slogans, and branding. So, yun nga, kaya masyadong mahalaga yung feedback ng mga consumer kasi nai-improve yung mga taste ng product and yung mga design. And pwede din sila yung mag-promote ng product mo mismo like through onlines. And to conclude my report, consumers play an important role in fishery product development. Understanding their needs, preferences, and buying habits help ensure that the product is marketable and profitable. By focusing on what consumers want, producers can create fishery products that are both appealing and economically feasible. So, in short, yung mga consumers is very important talaga kasi nalalaman natin kung ano yung mga gusto, kung ano yung kailangan, and ano pa yung kailangang gawin para mas lalong lumago yung product natin in the market. Thank you. And I'll be calling Jamaica to present her report here.
So, let's move forward to participants in product marketing. First, who are the market participants? Market participants are the individuals, groups, or organizations involved in the buying and selling of goods, services, or financial assets within a market. So, they play different roles that keep the market system active and balanced. In general, market participants include producers, consumers, intermediaries, investors, and regulators, each contributing to the flow of products, money, and information that drives economic activity. So, market participants are all the people or groups na involved sa buying and selling process. Sila yung nagpapagalaw sa market from products na gumagawa from producers na gumagawa ng products hanggang sa consumers na bumibili. For example, sa fishery products like tuyo or bagoong, the producer is the fisherman or processor, and the retailer is the tendera sa palengke, and the consumer is the family na bibili for their ulam. Next, we have the types of participants in product marketing. First is the producers or manufacturers. These are the people or companies that create or produce goods and services. They start the marketing process by developing a product that satisfies customers' needs. Producers also decide on product design, quality, pricing, and packaging. So, dito naman, sila yung gumagawa ng products or services. Sila rin yung nagdi-decide sa design, quality, packaging, at sa pricing. And for example, is one company na gumagawa ng Uno Bagoong. They decide the taste, bottle design, and price para magustuhan ng consumers. So next, we have the wholesalers. Wholesalers buy products in bulk from producers and sell them in smaller quantities to retailers or other businesses. They help move goods from production centers to different markets, making distribution faster and more efficient. Wholesalers, sila yung bumibili ng maramihan sa products tas binibenta nila in smaller amounts sa retailers. Parang middleman para mabilis makarating sa merkado yung product. For example, bumili ang isang wholesaler ng 100 boxes ng dried fish sa Ilocos, tapos ibebenta niya sa mga tindahan sa La Union. Next, we have the retailers. Retailers are the final link in the distribution chain. They sell products directly to consumers through stores, markets, or online platforms. Their role is important because they connect producers to the buyers and provide feedback about customer preferences. Dito naman, sila yung retailers, sila yung nagbebenta direkta sa consumers. Sila ang huling step bago mapunta ang end user ang product. For example, katulad ng tendera sa palengke or online seller sa Shopee na nagbebenta ng isang bote ng bagoong or isang pack ng fish fillet. Next, we have the consumers or buyers. Consumers are the end users who purchase and use the products. They are the most important participants because their needs and satisfaction determine the success or failure of the product in the market. Consumers, sila yung final users ng products, and ang satisfaction nila ang magdi-decide kung successful yung product sa market. For example, ikaw na bumibili ng oyster patty or oyster loaf. Kung nagustuhan mo, babalik ka ulit, meaning successful yung product. Next, we have the marketing intermediaries, agents, distributors, or the brokers. These participants assist in promoting, selling, and distributing the product. They act as a bridge between producers and consumers, helping reach wider markets and increasing sales efficiency. So, sila yung tumutulong sa pag-promote, pag-sell, at pag-distribute ng product para mas madali makarating sa mas maraming buyers. For example, may distributor na nagdadala ng Uno Bagoong sa iba't ibang grocery store sa buong Luzon. Next, we have the advertisers and media agencies. Advertisers and media organizations are responsible for communicating their products' value to the public through advertisements, social media, print, or broadcast. Their goal is to attract attention and encourage purchase. Dito naman, sila yung nagpo-promote ng product gamit ang ads, social media, or commercials para makuha ang attention ng consumers. For example, sa Facebook page ng isang seafood brand na nagpo-post ng recipes gamit ang bagoong or dried fish. Next, we have the logistic and transport services. These ensure that products are delivered safely on time from the producer to the consumer. Good logistic management keeps the supply chains running smoothly. So, sila yung nag-aasikaso ng delivery at transportation para makarating ang products ng safe at on time. For example, isang delivery truck na nagdadala ng frozen tilapia mula Dagupan papuntang supermarket sa Baguio. And next, we have the market researchers. They collect and analyze data about consumer behavior, trends, and competition. Their information helps businesses make better marketing decisions, set prices, and plan promotions effectively. Sila yung nagko-collect at nag-analyze ng data about sa consumer behavior, trends, at competitors. For example, nag-survey sila kung alin ang mas gusto ng buyers, if sweet or spicy, bagoong, para ma-improve ng producer yung product na binibenta nila. Next, we have the financial institutions. Banks and credit organizations provide funding for production, marketing, and distribution activities. They make it possible for businesses to expand, advertise, and maintain operations. Dito naman, banks at credit organizations, sila yung nagbibigay ng loan or capital para makapagpatuloy ang production and marketing. For example, isang small fish processor ang umutang sa bangko para makabili ng bagong drying equipment or machine. And next, we have the government and regulatory bodies. These agencies set and enforce laws and standards to ensure fair competition, product safety, and consumer protection. They keep the market stable and trustworthy. Next, sila ang gumagawa ng batas at standards para maging fair at safe ang market. For example, BIFAR, Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, na nag-inspeksyon sa quality ng fish products bago ito ibenta. So, to conclude, product marketing involves a wide range of participants who work together to ensure that products move efficiently from producers to consumers. Each plays an important role, from creating and financing products to distributing and promoting them. Their combined efforts contribute to the success of marketing activities and the overall stability of the company by supporting business growth, consumer satisfaction, and sustainable trade. So, to conclude this, lahat ng participants sa marketing process ay may mahalagang role. Kapag nagtutulungan sila mula sa production hanggang sa pagbebenta, nagiging successful ang product at lumalago sa ekonomiya. That's my part. So, for the next presenter, may I call on Miss Victoria to continue the next topic.
And for our last topic, the economic feasibility and product marketing, the test marketing. So what is test marketing? Test marketing is the limited release of a product in a specific market segment to evaluate its performance before a full-scale launch. Ito yung pag-test sa product para ma-evaluate nila kung tatanggapin ba ito ng mga consumer, or may mga problema ba sa produkto, or effective ba ang marketing strategy nila bago i-fully launch ang produkto sa mas wide na market range natin. And next is the importance of test marketing. Test marketing is important part in the process of launching a product. Kasi tinutulungan niya ito na ma-avoid ng mga company yung mga malalaking mistakes or risk na pwedeng mag-cause ng failure ng product. And tinutulungan din naman nito yung company, yung mga possible na, yung ma-estimate yung possible na success of the product. Tapos, ito yung mga example ng importance niya. Reduces risk of product failure. Yung paggamit ng test marketing, matetest mo lang siya in a limited consumer. Kaya kapag nagkaroon siya ng problema, hindi maapektuhan yung whole market. Kasi limited place lang siya. Or limited consumers lang yung pinag-testingan. Next is the validates product market fit. It measures the product if necessary ba siya or accepted siya ng majority. Next is the refines marketing and pricing strategy. While in the test phase, you are able to observe how consumers react to the advertisement and promotion, the price of the product. Tapos, dun mo makikita kung mag-a-adjust ka ba sa ibang factor based on the preference nila. And last is the provides early consumer feedback. Having a test marketing, dito mo makikita yung mga feedback ng consumers and pwede kang mag-adjust bago ka mag-full launch dahil nga may test marketing ka pang ginawa. Next is the objectives and benefits. This part of the process is to ensure the effectiveness of the product before launching it. The primary objectives focus on serving the consumer preference to avoid problem in the future. Una is the assess customer acceptance. Tinatakal dito yung acceptability ng product based on the consumer's liking. Next is the evaluate marketing mix, which is product, price, place, and promotion. And forecast demand and sales. In this objective, you can identify the right quantity to produce during production. Yung demand lang na sales, yung kailangan mong gawin. Next is identify operational or supply chain issues. You can observe yung obstacles encountered during the test phase that you can solve it instantly when the proper launching will happen. And the key benefits, test marketing can predict the success of the business. It saves costs from failed large-scale launches instead of launching in the whole market and pay amount of money when it fails. During test marketing, it gives a way to try it first in a small group of individuals, in that you can avoid potential of business failure or maiwasan natin yung pagkalugi ng negosyo. Number 2 is enhances product design and messaging. Based on the feedback, we can make the product improve and try different way of advertisement according to the liking of our consumer. Number 3 is builds early brand awareness. Kahit na limited testing lang yung ginagawa mo, still nakikilala pa rin siya ng ibang mga tao na yung brand mo, na alam pa rin yun ng ibang tao, which pwedeng mag-cause ng positive buzz or word of mouth bago pa magkaroon ng full launch. Next is the supports data-driven decision making. It gives an actual data and insight so that the decision that we are making have basis and evidence that give us high potential of success product launching. Next is the types of test marketing. All of them are used to test the product before the full launching, but they are different in some factors. Let's start with the standard test marketing. Launch in a small geographic area. Real world condition, using a real store, advertising, price and distribution. It is like a proper marketing or proper selling. high cost and time intensive. Dahil may whole setup na siya, it costs more money and time, but it has a real result because it is close to the relaunching. Next is the controlled test marketing. Product placed in selected stores via partnership. Ito yung pag-launch ng product in a selective stores only with the proper agreement. Next is the monitored sales and customer behavior. Merong someone or something na nagre-record ng mga everyday sales, kung gaano kadalas yung pagbili, sino yung mga target consumer, ano yung mga suggestions nila. And then, the last is the faster and more cost-effective. Hindi niya kailangan ng grand advertisement or full distribution network. Next is we have simulated test marketing. Lab-based or virtual environment. It's separated into a controlled room or in a computer simulation. Hindi ito yung sa actual stores or hindi siya yung physical stores. Next is the consumer panel exposed to ads and product concept. Nag-iimbita ka ng number of people para ma-witness yung product. Tapos tatanungin mo sila if magkano yung kaya nilang bitawan para sa product mo, or are they willing to risk their money on your product. Next is quick feedback, lower cost. It is costless or mas mababa yung gastos kaysa dun sa standard test marketing. Next is the online A/B testing, or ito yung may comparison. Digital platforms test different version of ads, features, or pricing. Ito yung pagtatry ng different advertisement, pricing, and features sa iba't ibang platform. Next is the real-time data collection. Ito yung instant collection of the feedback. Yung after nila pag-click, ganun, sa certain questions, makikita mo kung sino yung mga sumagot automatically. And then, number 3 is the ideal for software or e-commerce and apps. Dahil through apps or digital ang test marketing, mas madali at mabilis yung proseso. Ito na naman yung test marketing process. Test marketing process is not just a simple process. Meron siyang systematic process to make sure that the result will be accurate and can be helpful in your future endeavor of product launching. Number is define test objectives. Define what you want to know and what you want to project using the test marketing. Number 2 is select representative test market. Look for a place or group that has similar target market in a country or region. Number 3 is develop marketing mix. Prepare the product, the price, the place, and promotion. This is going to use in the test marketing. Number 4 is the launch and monitor. Start to sell in test marketing and observe the reaction of the consumer. 5 is to collect and analyze data. Gather all the information like the sales and the way the selling and yung kung paano yung pagbenta based on sa information na nakuha mo. Then, refine product or strategy. Organize the product price or the way of distribution based then dun sa mga data na nakolect mo. And then, lastly is the decide on full-scale launch. Kung yung result is successful, then yun na yung senyales mo para mag full-scale launch or yun yung grand launch ng marketing. Pero kapag yung test marketing mo ay hindi gumana, then you should start a new one and change the possible factors na nakaapekto kung bakit ganun yung result, bakit siya nag-fail. And then, to conclude my report, test marketing is a vital step in product development that helps validate market readiness, reduce launch risks, and refine strategies based on real consumer feedback. When done effectively, it leads to smarter decisions and more successful product launches. And that would be all. Thank you.